Make in India and self-reliance have now, as I said, become a partner in the sense of for self-reliance, Make in India is absolutely necessary. And particularly when you're talking about critical industries like defense, we need to be self-reliant where we really can be. Of course, armed forces require best of equipments. They need some of the latest technology-driven equipments. Some high-tech equipments are required which have to be imported. They can be imported. And it continues. We are seeing very good latest weaponry coming also. But some of those which are being produced in India can be bought in India, and therefore we have now come to a conclusion that we shall notify. This is done with the consultation with the Department of Military Affairs. We shall notify a list of weapons and platforms which shall be not allowed for import, but we shall have them bought from India. So the import of this listed set of equipments shall not be allowed. They shall be banned. And every year this list will be increased because more capacities which come to be recognized, which meet the standards, which meet the defense standards, will be obtained from India. As they say, the defense is General Staff qualitative requirements, the GSQRs for weapons and platforms will all be honored, but those list of items which get notified can only be purchased from India. Indigenization of some imported spares will also be given priority. For years we have been producing spares which are good enough for even those imported vectors, imported weaponry, imported platforms. Unless we are able to do that, the spares are also something which India probably can produce but are getting imported. So indigenization of imported spares. Then for all this, a budget provision, a separate budget provision will also be given for domestic capital procurement. So this is going to be something with which the defense can make sure that their import bill can come down. This is done in consultation with the Department of Military Affairs, and this will be an important step towards making sure that Indian producers of defense equipments which are absolutely meeting with the standards which the armed forces would want will be purchased from India. The next step in defense production related reform is to improve the autonomy, accountability and efficiency in ordnance supplies which are being made by the ordnance factories. And for this, we intend to corporatize ordnance factory boards. I like to emphasize here, corporatization is not privatization. It doesn't mean that the ordnance factory boards are going to be privatized. No, they're not being privatized. But corporatized they will be. We want them to be better managed. We also eventually hope that they will get listed in the stock market. Ordinary Indian citizens can also buy shares in them, and through that we expect that the ordnance factory boards and their processes, decision making, output, performance, all of them will be transparent for the Indian citizens. So ordnance factory boards will be corporatized, not privatized. I want to underline that, and I want media friends to please differentiate between corporatization and privatization. The next set of things about defense production is that FDI limits are being raised from 49% to 74%. Of course, it will have the security clearances and everything else as always. And then We'll also have a mechanism established so that time-bound defense procurement processes happen. There will be a project management unit set up. Support will be given for contract management purposes. Then as I said earlier, a realistic setting for the general staff qualitative requirements, the GSQRs as they're known, of weapons and platforms will be made, because sometimes unrealistic quality requirements are established and quite a lot of time is spent in searching for suppliers who will meet all those requirements. You end up with just one supplier, and just buying it from one supplier is not permitted, and then you do the entire circle all over again. So realistic setting of qualitative requirements is something on which we'll place emphasis, and above all, overhauling of the trial and testing processes. Yes, we understand India is a country which has different climatic and geospatial requirements, tropical, coastal, Himalayan, high altitude and everything else, but we still need to be far more efficient in trial and testing of procedures.
रक्षा उत्पाद में आत्मनिर्भरता लाने के लिए मेक इन इंडिया को बल देना बहुत आवश्यक है, और पिछले 3 वर्षों में बहुत सारे क्षेत्रों में भारत में इस दिशा में कदम उठाए गए, और रक्षा उत्पाद के लिए मेक इन इंडिया को बल देना और आत्मनिर्भरता लाना इस दिशा में कदम है। वेपन्स की लिस्ट को नोटिफाई किया जाएगा, प्लेटफॉर्म्स की लिस्ट को नोटिफाई किया जाएगा, और उन पर बैन लगाया जाएगा इंपोर्ट के लिए। हर साल इसके लिए अलग अलग टाइमलाइंस आती जाएंगी, ताकि वर्ष प्रति वर्ष भारत में हथियारों का उत्पादन यहीं पर हो और हम विदेशों पर कम निर्भर रहें, उस दिशा में एक कदम है। जो पुर्जे भी हमें इंपोर्ट करने पड़ते हैं, उसमें भी कमी लाने के लिए उनकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यहीं पर हो, भारतीय कंपनियों में उनका निर्माण हो, यहीं पे भारत में हो। और यही नहीं, इसके लिए सेपरेट बजट का प्रावधान भी किया जाएगा, जो डोमेस्टिक कैपिटल प्रोक्योरमेंट है उसके लिए। और इससे हमारे डिफेंस इंपोर्ट बिल में भी एक भारी कटौती होगी, लेकिन जिसका सीधा लाभ भारत में बनाने वाली उन कंपनियों को मिलेगा जो हिंदुस्तान के सैन्य की एक आपूर्ति करेंगी। और इसी दिशा में ऑटोनॉमी लाने के लिए और ज्यादा जवाबदेही, अकाउंटेबिलिटी तय करने के लिए और कामकाज में एफिशिएंसी लाने के लिए ऑर्डिनेंस सप्लाईज जो है, जो हमारी कॉरपोरेशन है, जो हमारे ऑर्डिनेंस फैक्ट्रीज हैं, उनका कॉर्पोरेटाइजेशन यानी कि निगमीकरण करने की हम बात कर रहे हैं। और निगमीकरण और निजीकरण में बहुत अंतर है। ऑर्डिनेंस फैक्ट्री बोर्ड का निगमीकरण होगा ताकि उनके कामकाज में और सुधार हो, बेहतर प्रोडक्ट बन सकें, सेना को और अच्छे हथियार मिल सकें, दुनिया भर के देशों पर हमारी निर्भरता कम हो, हिंदुस्तान के अंदर और रोजगार पैदा हो सके, कंपनियों को लिस्टिंग कराकर उनकी भी क्षमता बढ़ाने का काम किया जा सके। कुल मिलाकर पारदर्शिता और बेहतर प्रदर्शन की ओर हम आगे बढ़ सकें, इसलिए निगमीकरण करना बहुत आवश्यक है। इसलिए ऑर्डिनेंस फैक्ट्री बोर्ड का निगमीकरण किया जाएगा। और दूसरा रिफॉर्म्स, जहां एफडीआई लिमिट है डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के क्षेत्र में, वो स्वचालित प्रत्यक्ष विदेशी निवेश के लिए 49% से बढ़ाकर 74% कर दी जाएगी। यानी कि ऑटोमेटिक डिफेंस रूट, ऑटोमेटिक एफडीआई का जो रूट है, उसके लिए 49% से 74% उसको कर दिया जाएगा लिमिट को। और टाइम बाउंड डिफेंस प्रोक्योरमेंट प्रोसेस हमारा हो, इसके लिए त्वरित फैसले लेने का भी काम किया जाएगा। अनुबंध प्रबंधन के लिए प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट यूनिट का गठन किया जाएगा। और और जो GSQRs हैं वेपन्स और प्लेटफॉर्म्स की, उसको भी व्यवहारिक बनाने का काम किया जाएगा। और जो हमारे प्रशिक्षण की प्रक्रियाएं हैं जिसमें बहुत लंबा समय, कई बार वर्षों तक लग जाते हैं, उसका जीर्णोद्धार भी किया जाएगा ताकि उसमें कम समय लगे और जल्दी प्रोक्योरमेंट करने का, ताकि टेस्टिंग समय पर हो जाए, ट्रायल्स हो जाए और हम समय पर उनका ऑर्डर कर सकें।
The next three relate to civil aviation. I'll be fairly speedy about them. One relates to airspace management. The next relates to PPP and airports which are being given for management and maintenance. Then MRO hub. The three are put together relating to civil aviation. The first is the airspace management. Just to give you a background, only about 60% of the Indian airspace is freely available. And that's because airspace is fairly restricted for its use for civil purposes and defense purposes. This means that all these years, all these decades, we have been flying to some destination, most destinations, not through the shortest route, but slightly longer routes, which means you're having more time in the air. This actually has to be rationalized. Optimum utilization of airspace is best, because after all the fuel spent is also something which we import. Huge bill goes for that. Finally the customer ends up paying more price for the flying, and for pilots it's a extra hour of flying or half an hour of flying. Above all, if we are able to optimally utilize the airspace and reach quickly, every one of our time is saved, and therefore now rationalization is going to happen. We will be able to get to our destination at the shortest possible time, thus saving travel time, thus saving fuel, thus saving also the pilot's flying time. This is an environment-friendly step, but having very big implication on India's fuel import bill, and also for civil aviation, which in India has biggest potential in growth. Civil aviation is up for a big leap. So the airspace availability through which the flying time is influenced is going to be better. That is one. The second that I'd like to tell you about is 6 more airports are for auction, and the Airports Authority of India shall do it on public-private basis, PPP basis. Additional investments also are likely to happen by private players in about 12 airports which they are already holding, for better world-class facilities to be brought in. So majorly airports in India will become far more with better facility and customer experience. This has financial implications to the extent not so much for the budget, but the AAI, the Airports Authority of India, will get a down payment of 2,300 crores, and also the first and second rounds of investments are expected to get 13,000 crores. So this is one step which will at a time increase better facilities and also make our airports a lot more worthy experience for the passengers. The third in this, because it's all pertain to civil aviation, is making India an MRO hub. This was mentioned also in the budget. Maintenance, repair and overhaul of aircrafts is a big business. Most of the Indian aircrafts themselves go abroad to do their repair works, spend on parts there, and also come back for after the overhaul to India. But maintenance and repair and overall, India has all the capacities, manpower skills required, soft skills required, and also India can then be the center for many of the flights which go towards Southeast Asia, long distance to Australia, similarly westwards also. If we make sure that MRO's ecosystem is created in India, for which the tax regime has already been altered so that it favors setting up MRO in India, This is a major step that we want to make sure that India benefits from. And in this, not just civil aircrafts, but also defense aircrafts can also be benefiting from the MRO, which, if we make India as a huge hub, maintenance cost for all airlines will come down, and that again will have a ripple effect on the passengers. The travelers can probably pay less after that. So these are three put together reforms for the civil aviation sector.